show that recording secretary, executive assistant Laurie Marsh is present. And I'd like to recognize the commissioners present, myself, Douglas Woodham, Commissioner Thomas Tarr, and Commissioner Frank Mello Jr. I'd like to recognize the staff present, Chief Matthew J. Canfield, Lieutenant Michael Finogle. We have a quorum, so we'll begin with personnel matters, commendations, and awards.
Nothing?
Training, Lieutenant Finogle.
We just completed the body camera training, so everybody's issued a body camera, and we're working on the cruiser cams. And we're moving into our training period in the fall, so we're starting to schedule monthly training.
Orders and bulletins.
There was a couple orders in there for training, but that's it.
Okay.
Some later.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous, Laconia Links, Chief Canfield.
We had an article in there advertising National Night Out that took place that had a fair attendance over at 22 Stratford Street.
It was a fairly good crowd.
It was. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Can we go back to the orders and bulletins for a minute? I meant to ask a question
Yes.
on that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Chief, I just wonder, on this drone training,
Yep.
drone operator training, is that specifically for law enforcement personnel only, or is it a general training to learn how to operate a drone, or?
I don't think it is geared just for law enforcement. I think it's for public safety. So this is an initiative that Rob Sedgley has been working on for a long time. The drone, or I think now they're calling it the unmanned aerial vehicle, have become a very big thing in modern day law enforcement, particularly for monitoring crowds. And actually, we talked about it for the Chaos and Kindness event that we're planning later this month to check rooftops and stuff like that, to give us that aerial view. You have to go through a number of certifications through the FAA in order to fly in a law enforcement capacity. Rob has done a couple of them on his own, but there's other certifications, including this one, to fly over crowds and that kind of stuff. So
Is that a department supplied drone equipment that he's using? Or?
it is. We purchased a drone for a really basic drone to start the program, but we're working with Homeland Security and Grants Management Unit to obtain funds for a commercial drone. Some of these drones cost upwards of $100,000, $120,000, so they're very pricey. But
Thank you.
it'll also be used for like the accident reconstruction team to do aerial photos of fatal accidents and stuff like that. Stuff that we do now from like a ladder truck from the fire department or something like that, but this gives us a lot more flexibility.
That's what I was getting to in a roundabout way is the equipment he's gonna be training on over there the same as the equipment that he was using at the PD, or do we know that, or?
I don't think they actually are going to be training with the equipment itself. It's more the book work and the certification
Okay.
process through the FAA. There's a lot of laws as far as, height requirements,
Yes.
flying over neighborhoods, that kind of stuff. So I think that's what that certification pertains to.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
So upon completion, he will be certified with an operator's certificate.
Correct.
So, let the minutes show that Prosecutor Sawyer snuck in.
Apologize for being late. I just had 3 o'clock on my mind, and that's when Colleen mentioned, you going to the meeting?
Resignations and retirements, Chief Canfield.
Lieutenant Rich Simmons is retiring as of today, as you know, and also Officer Judy Walsworth has put in her resignation and will be going to the Stratford County Sheriff's Office.
Hirings, Lieutenant Finogle.
So we got 2 graduating this afternoon from the police academy. We've got 2 coming on board September 3rd after the holiday that will start their training, and they'll go to the academy in January. And we got 1 in backgrounds that we're hoping to put in the January academy as well. We just couldn't get them in time for this group of hires. and we're gonna start recruiting again in October.
Back to the retirement, Chief, did you mention that Officer Walsworth also, or is that, I noticed it's on the agenda?
I did mention that she's,
Sorry.
put a resignation in and she'll be going to Stratford County.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Promotions and classification changes, Chief Canfield.
So we'll be announcing the promotions this weekend with the swearing-in ceremony set for September 5th, Thursday at 10 o'clock as a special meeting of the Laconia Police Commission.
Command and staff reports. Captain, Chief Canfield.
Nothing to report for the captain. I have some stuff that I'll talk about under my report, just some of the events that are coming up, but nothing on his end.
Operations Lieutenant. Lieutenant Simmons is right here, so. Moving on, Training Lieutenant, Lieutenant Van Orgel,
Don't have anything.
nothing. Investigations, Chief Canfield.
He's on vacation in Rhode Island, but Kevin has been heading up our body camera program, and now everyone has been trained and everyone has a body camera. That's in full swing. We've also begun the in-car camera system. 2 of our vehicles are equipped with the in-car cameras, which will be going a trial period like we did with the body cams of 4 to 6 weeks to kind of work the bugs out of it before that system's installed in the rest of the vehicles.
Legal, Prosecutor Sawyer.
Just regarding the body cams, Jeff Wally and Kara Goodhart have been doing a lot of work. Kara has my cases that are sent out for discovery. Jeff has been doing all the cases that are going to the county attorney's office for reviewing, redacting any privacy issue matters, confidential matters are being redacted out of the body cams. It does take a lot of work. And Kara's going to be going back to patrol in a couple weeks, and I know we've been talking about how we're going to fill that gap, and Chief has some ideas, and it's a lot of work for sure. I just gave her one the other day, which is a underage house party case, and there's multiple juveniles involved, and it's 2 hours in length. So to go through and redact what needs to be redacted is rather time consuming. But I've seen benefits with the camera on some cases. There's more clarity, for sure, with some cases. Some cases it's not helpful. In some cases clarity goes both ways. It's clear that there was an offense. Sometimes it's less clear that there was an offense. But I like the program. I think it's going to be very valuable to the PD and to Laconia, and there's just a lot of work into it. And I've looked at, I think Captain showed me one of the cruiser cams, and it sounds like it's going to work seamlessly with the body cams. It's the same provider and the same console. When you pull off on your computer, you can look at them all at the same time, which is nice. And you can jump between different screens to hear the audio from the different cameras. So you could have, I think, 3 or 4 videos going at the same time that are going simultaneous in terms of the time from an incident. So it is helpful, not only for the cases, but I think for training it's going to be an immense help for the officers.
Using the system, for you using the system, did that require some training, some kind of?
Yeah, it's actually pretty intuitive. It's not that difficult to use, like any other it's a well-made software. So once you have an understanding of it, it's easy to find a video and to view a video. The redacting takes a little bit more finesse and more experience, and I'm sure Officer Wally and Officer Goodhart are very good at it now. Whereas I tried it to begin with, and it took a lot of time.
Difficult.
I'm sure they're more proficient in terms of doing it, because it's making black boxes to obscure people's faces, and depending if they go at a screen, you have to go read to the black box, and then there's another audio mask that they do. And anybody that does it, I think, will be up to speed relatively quick, and but it there is a learning curve for that part of it, for sure.
Questions? Moving on to commission action, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
On the motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Commissioner Mello, it passed unanimously. The meeting minutes of July 17th are accepted as distributed. Moving on to out-of-state schools, I'll entertain a motion to approve Captain Alan Grayton's attendance at the Pennsylvania State Police 2019 Collision Reconstruction Seminar.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Commissioner Mello. All in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen, I wish I had mentioned that right before. Can we add Sergeant Rich Carlson? He's also going to attend. He's on the team. It's kind of a last-minute addition.
Okay,
To the same training?
They both are equal training. They're going to travel together.
So it'd be a similar cost?
Yeah, I broke down the cost right here. I mean, it's just double.
I think it would be actually less. I think we're gonna share a room.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep. So it'll
Was
be
that-
less than
I
a
think they were gonna share a hotel room, just get a hotel room with 2 beds, so the cost of the hotel would be the same, I believe.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to the captain about that. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought this.
but the final figure would be, if it's double, it's 1432. It's basically the double.
so do you need a motion to add Richard
I'll
Carlson?
move that we approve the amended travel request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. The above listed school is approved. Review of monthly activity reports. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of July, we responded to 1,949 calls for service, investigated 343 criminal offenses, 225 of them were cleared by arrest. We made a total of 134 physical custody arrests, stopped 305 motor vehicle stops, 22 summonses, 248 written warnings, investigated 1 fatal motor vehicle accident, and a total of 61 motor vehicle accidents. Issued 592 parking tickets, arrested 5 DWIs, and took 32 people into custody for intoxication. We responded to a total of 49 domestic disturbance calls for the month, 120 other disturbance calls, dealt with 13 suicidal subjects, 12 violation restraining orders, and our volunteers in the Victim Services Unit donated a total of 16.5 hours serving victims and the legal prosecution office.
No questions? All right, moving on to criminal investigative unit statistics. Chief Canfield.
So they were assigned 12 initial cases for the month of July, conducted 15 follow-ups on cases, made 1 misdemeanor arrest, conducted 22 search warrants, cleared 3 cases exceptionally, cleared 2 cases by means of unfounded, conducted 29 sex offender registrations, investigated 1 computer-related crime, conducted 2 background investigations, 3 knock and talks, 5 drug intel sheets. They covered 1 patrol shift and conducted 3 polygraph exams, and that's it.
Okay, monthly traffic statistics.
So for the month of July, we responded to 61 motor vehicle accidents, 11 with injury, 1 was a fatal motor vehicle accident. Common cause of the accident, the number 1 cause was driver inattention, which remains to be the number 1 cause. The second cause of those crashes was 12 of them were listed as other, and 12 were listed as unsafe back-in. The accident breakdown by location, the number 1 location was on Union Avenue, which is not a surprise, as it's one of our busiest streets. Followed by North Main Street, Main Street, and then Fair Street as the leading number of locations for accidents for the month.
The driver that is attended, is that, found out if it's, use of telephones?
It could be a number of different reasons. Unfortunately, on the state accident report, and driver inattention can fall into a number of different things, whether it's being distracted because they dropped their coffee, went to turn the stereo on or something, or a cell phone use or something like that. But certainly, the cell phone usage is a big leading cause of accidents.
Chief, can I, regarding the traffic enforcement section, it's a constituent asked me today about if radar is still used as a primary tool for traffic enforcement.
It is.
And I told him it was, but I wanted to be sure that I was giving him correct information. So that's still a routine device that's used in determining a proper speed on city streets and so forth.
Yes, all of our marked cruisers have radar installed in them permanently. We also have a handheld radar that they can use for whether it's a motorcycle units or the bicycle patrol or something like that. And then we also use, we have one laser device which they use, so instead of the radar uses LiDAR, it's LiDAR actually, but it's a laser that is a little bit more accurate in determining, like, differentiating between vehicles itself. But yeah, the overwhelming is radar.
Thank you.
Monthly fleet report, Lieutenant Van Orgel.
We just took possession of the new animal control officer vehicle, which is a Ford Ranger with a crew cab, and we got a commercial grade cap for the back, which has opening doors, like barn doors, on the back. So we just got to get that lettered and have a radio installed in it, and she'll be off and running with that.
And the old vehicle will be kept as,
Yeah, we're surplusing one of our old vans, and we're gonna move the old animal control vehicle to a utility type vehicle for range and other collateral duties that we have.
Are there a lot of general animal enforcement issues in the city?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, primarily cats and dogs. That's what she deals with a lot.
budget printouts, Chief Canfield.
Budget printout is good. It's only a couple weeks into the new budget year, so most of the line items are 100% or near it. That certainly looks good.
Some questions? All right.
One more, sorry. Is it likely, Chief, that will, as a result of the reorganization and promotional activity that's underway, possibly save some money on personnel costs when someone moves up from, say, sergeant to lieutenant, or master officer to sergeant, there's a little savings there, or they start them at the first step generally, or do you adjust that pay? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a savings because they do get promoted, and they go to the, step one of the next pay scale. That being said, you have, a senior officer who's getting promoted, that the jump from a senior officer pay to step one sergeant isn't as great as it is from like a hiring a new officer or probationary to backfill their position to their level. So it ebbs and flows, I think. I wouldn't say that there's a cost savings though.
So you're not required on a promotionary scale to put somebody at step one if they were at the top step of the previous position?
There is nothing contractual that requires that, but that's typically how it's done, is so they'll go from their step in the patrol officer scale to the step one as a sergeant, or step one as a lieutenant. Because the step one pay scale on a sergeant level is higher than the top step patrol officer pay scale.
Roughly by how much?
It's 5%,
Is it 5%?
I believe so.
5%?
It's not a small amount of money then. I mean, somebody isn't jumping from one position to another for $1,000 a year.
No, I mean,
Generally?
yeah, what's 5%? Probably 3,000 or 4,000?
I think it's less than that. We were actually overlapped, and you were making like 1 penny more to go to sergeant for a long period of time. Yeah.
Right, no, I understand that. The difference between top step patrol officer and bottom step
Yeah.
sergeant is 5%. I think,
I think
is
so.
it like 2,500, 3,000 or something
Somewhere
like
in there,
that?
yeah.
The difference. Of course, if they're on a lower scale as a sergeant, if they're step, 8 or 9 or something, that step's gonna be bigger, because they're going to step 1 as a sergeant versus like top step patrol officer.
Correspondence to and from the department, Chief Canfield.
There was a nice thank you letter in there for Officer Rouse. Family visiting from Sugar Land, Texas during Motorcycle Week, had several opportunities to speak with him, and we're very impressed with him, and wrote a very nice thank you letter. Well thought out thank you letter, just thanking his professionalism, so that was a nice correspondence.
Officer reference cards, Chief?
So I don't think we have those statistics, because Robin has been on vacation.
Okay.
I do have the overdose statistics. We've had 33 overdoses year to date, which are down very significantly. Here we are in the end of August with 33. Last year we had a total of 109 overdoses. Right now we have 2 overdose deaths year to date, possibly 3. I think the other one we haven't confirmed that through the autopsy, but I think that's suspected that would be 3, as compared to 12 overdose deaths last year. So those are down very significantly.
Any thoughts about why that is, Chief?
I think, I think it's a combination of things. We're certainly, I think, Eric Adams is certainly doing a lot of good work. And I think on the other hand, we're also seeing a lot of meth and a lot of transition to meth. Some of it's supply and demand as far as getting the stuff. Some of it is awareness. People realizing that, heroin is cut with fentanyl, and that the fluctuations in purity or what is cut with the fentanyl is indeterminate. So I think we're seeing a lot more meth use as a result of that. Certainly there was an article in the Union Leader the other day about Merrimack and some of their hotels, and I mean they have some serious issues with their hotels down there, and I think we're fortunate because we don't have those issues. We used to have it with one of the hotels in town, and that one's been bought and redone, and we haven't had any issues there, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully these numbers will continue on the trend that they're on.
Yeah, certainly.
And the memorandum of understanding.
So the County Police Officers Association, the union, approached me on the need for pistol lights for all the officers' guns. Certainly something that would increase officer safety, something that we didn't have that was budgeted. And they approached me with they were willing to purchase the lights for all union members in exchange for the department maintaining those lights, so replacing the bulbs or batteries. And then the understanding that new hires that we hire, the department purchases lights for them, and then eventually they'll phase out, the department will own all of them. Certainly a very generous act by the union. I think that speaks volumes to the people that we have that work for us, that they would identify this as a need and look for a solution to it and be willing to put up union money to fund that. So certainly a very positive thing, and certainly good for the department and our officers as a whole.
I don't recall this issue coming up either during the negotiation. They just didn't bring it up, or?
I think it's just something that came to light, that we've had an optional light policy that officers could purchase the pistol lights themselves, and they could go through the training program for it. We've never mandated the lights be required, purely from the cost perspective. But it's something that they were interested in doing, and they brought it forward, so.
So is there now a requirement for low-light shooting training?
We've always done low light shooting. It's just the option of, so this is a light that's mounted on the pistol. It's easier to manipulate the gun, the weapon system, versus holding a separate flashlight. And certainly safer too.
And all the equipment that the union bought is the same equipment that the PD's buying?
Yes. So we have a policy that governs weapon mounted lights, and we have one approved model for a light that's approved for the department, and people that could buy it up to this point, they decided to purchase it themselves. but they had to go through the training, so this is the same light that the union will purchase.
So just in equipment in general, do you as the chief get to veto any, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example where the union says, we need this piece of equipment to facilitate officer safety. They can't go out and buy whatever it might be without your approval. Is that how it works?
Correct. Everything that they carry on their uniform and.
Has to be approved
Has to be approved. And a lot of it, or the majority of it, they have to go through some type of training program
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, it all has to be approved prior to them carrying or using it.
Moving on to old business.
I just had a couple of things I wanted to touch on real quick,
Oh,
if you're
okay.
okay with it. Laconia Multicultural Day is September 7th, the downtown area, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then there's the Weirs Beach Blues Festival. That'll be taking place on Weirs Beach on September 21st, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They intend to enclose the whole beach and parking lot area and have a blues festival on the beach.
Booze or blues?
Hopefully it's not booze, but we'll see. Blues, yeah.
Blues.
What is it called?
Blues?
Oh, I thought I said booze also. I'm like, what are you approving that for? Could turn into that, though. I
It could turn
suppose.
into that for sure.
Is that another venue where whoever the sponsors are paying, reimbursing the department for
Yes,
coverage?
yes. Aside from the, planning up to the event, so, there's a lot of work that the captain's done on this. I think Mike's coming into the game here, working with some of that stuff. But yeah, all that event plan, it's a drain. I mean, all these special events,
It is.
it's a lot of time and a lot of meetings and a lot of thought process to plan these things. That's not covered, but the actual police coverage on the day of the event is covered. That is the same weekend as the Chaos and Kindness event that's planned for Lakeport Square. So that's gonna be a busy day, in combination with Laconia High School homecoming reunion that weekend as well, so. And then Bike-Timber Fest is scheduled for September 13th to the 15th. So September looks to be a very busy month event-wise. So, that's all I had.
Do you ever have to chase around these people for payment, or how does that work?
There was one event that the city got burned, so they never got paid or reimbursed. So since that has happened, most of these events are required to put money into an escrow account ahead of time
Okay.
based on our predicted costs, and then we draw from that, and then it gets reimbursed, so
Anything else, or we,
that's it.
okay. Old business,
Nothing?
new business.
Nothing?
Okay. Confirmation of the next meeting date, September 18th.
Yeah, and then we have the special meeting on the September 5th as well.
Okay, other business,
Nothing?
citizen comments. Howden, anything you want to say? No? Okay. Is there a need for non-public?
There is not.
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn the meeting, regular August meeting?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On a motion made by Commissioner Tar, seconded by Commissioner Mello, and passed unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 11:33.